So, yeah, it's been a long since I haven't read a book, and I feel so bad. I just woke up and I just want to read it. I feel like I should read daily, but there's always something that keeps me nagging. And let's not talk about that. So, today we are at chapter 8, talent not required. So, I don't think that I will be able to read for full hours. So, that means basically 30 minutes because I do have other stuffs to do. That's why. And just get into this. There were like 4 chapters remaining. That means a week. It takes. Talent not required. Where's my pencil? I don't know. I used to have that one pencil. It is. Yeah, buddy. So today I'm gonna focus on more clarity and pronunciation, actuation, and let's go. Let's go. Let's go. What time it is? Okay, fine. Not bad. Not bad. So, like, I just have to mark un, until where I was today. Yeah, I found it. I found it. It's not a big deal. The night before my first lockdown triathlon in my life, I stood with my one on the deck of sprawling $7 million beach hut in Kona watching the moonlight play on water. Hospital Kona gorgeous town on the west coast of the island of Hawaii. Triathlon in general thanks to the Ironman World Championship. Although there are 4 Olympic distance and short sprint triathlon held around the world than here are Ironman event. It was the original Ironman in Kona. The place is on the international radar. It starts with the 2.4 mile swim followed by 112-mile bike ride and a close with a marathon. It was a stop shifting and wind and blistering head corridor reflected by the harsh lava field and the race reduced much competitors reduce blisters of raw anguish, but I wasn't here for that. I came to Kona to compete in a less silver form of event, more intense masculinism. I was there to compete for the title of Ultraman. Over the next 3 days, I would swim 6.2 miles, ride 261 miles, and run a road marathon, covering the entire perimeter of the big island of Hawaii. Once again, I was raising money for the Special Operation Warrior Foundation, and because I would been writing about interview on camera after bad order, I was invited by a multimillionaire I had never met to stay in his absurd place on the sand in the run up to the All Round World Championship in November 2006. It was a gorgeous gesture, but I was focused on becoming the very best version of myself. It guilt didn't impress me. In my mind, I still hadn't achieved shit. If anything, saying to his house only inflated the chip on my shoulder. You'll never have invited my wannabe thought has to come and chill with him in coma luxury back in the day. He only reached out because I would become someday a rich guy like him wanted to know. Still, I appreciated being able to show my mom a better life when whenever I was offered a taste. I invited her to experience with me. She would swallow the pain that anyone I've ever known. I wanted to remain what I had climbed out of the gutter while I kept on my own pace, luggage several sheer level. We didn't live in that 7 month place in Brazil anymore, but I was still figuring on that and will be for the rest of my life. Nice. The race launched from the beach side, the pier in downtown Kona. The same stars line is the Ironman Championship World Ship Champion. Sorry. But there wasn't much of a crowd for our race. There were only 30 athletes in the entire field compared to the over 1200 in the Ironman. It was also a small group. I could look every one of my competitors in the eye and size them up, which is how which is how I noticed the hardest man on the beach. I never did catch his name, but I will always remember him because he was in the wheelchair. Talk about hard, talk about pressure and PU and his stature. He was immense. Even ever since I started up with bus, I've seen sorts of people like that, men, women with uncommon way of thinking. One thing that surprised me about military special operations was the sum of the guys lived in so many strength. They weren't trying to push themselves every day out of their lives, and I wanted to be around people who thought trained on command 24/7, not just when duty called. That meant every excuse in the world to be at home. But he was already down at the hardest stage, this is known something 99.9% of the public wouldn't even consider. And with just his 2 arms to me, he was what all racing was all about. And is why after bad water I became hooked on this old. Talent wasn't required for this sports. It all was about heart and hard work and delivering challenge after challenge, always demanding more. I'm gonna like what? So I'm gonna just what do we call it? Um, I don't know. I like this. But that doesn't mean I wasn't prepared for this race. I still didn't want to buy. Borrowed one 3 weeks earlier from another friend. It was a Griffin in high over high end bicycle custom made for my friend who was even bigger than I was. I borrowed his clip in his shoe too, which were too sharp clown size. I filled the empty space with thick socks and compression tape, and didn't take time to learn bike mechanism before leaving for Kona. Changing tires, fixing chains and spokes, all the stuff I knew how to do now. I hadn't learned it. I just borrowed the bike and logged over 1,000 miles in the 3 weeks prior to Ultraman. Man, I would wake up at 4 a.m. and get 100-mile rides. Before workout weekends, I would ride under 25 miles, get up the bike and run marathon, but I only did 6 training swims just to in the open water and in the ultra octagon. All weakness was revealed. The 10-kilometer swims would have taken me about 2.5 hours to complete, but it took me over 3 hours. But it hurt. I was dressed in a sleeveless white suit for buoyancy, but it was too tight under my arms. Within 30 minutes, my armpits began to cave after an hour. Literally, the salt edge of my suit had become sandpaper that ripped my skin with every stroke. I switched from freestyle to side stroke and back again, desperate for comfort that never came. Every resistance of my arm cut my skin raw and bloody on both sides. Look, this is not. Iron Man, this Ultraman, which is like doing beyond the human capacity or beyond the of Iron Man. Okay, look at this picture. He is crazy, dude. Plus, the sea was choppy as hell. I drank seawater. My stomach flipped and flopped like a fish suffocating in fresh air. And I puked a half dozen times at least. But of that pain, my poor mechanism is strong on it. I swam a Mandarin line. 7.5 miles. All in that order was clear. What supposed to be 6.2 miles. Swing my legs are jelly when I stared to shore, and my vision rocked like a teeter during an earthquake. I had to lie down, then crawl behind the bathroom where I vomited again. Other swimmers gathered and in the transition area, over into the saddle and pedal off the lava, filling the blame. We still had a 90-mile bike ride off before the day was done. They were getting up to it while I was still on my knees, right on time. Those simple questions buckled to surface. Why am I even out here? I'm not a triathlete. I'm chapped, hell, sick. And the first word of the rider was his office. Why you keep doing this to yourself, Goggins? I don't know. Why do you treat it might be something? It sounded like a white windy beach, but I knew something comfort would help me to get them. So I paid no attention to other athlete who is the transition. I had to focus on my get on getting my legs under me and swing my spawn out my. First I got some foot down a little at a time. Then I treated the cords under my arm. Must try it and don't change your clothes. I did. I slept on some comfortable bike shorts and lycra short. And 15 minutes later I was upright in the saddle, climbing into the lava field. For the first 20 minutes I was still nauseous. I faded and puked. Replenished my fevers and puked again. Through it all, I gave myself one job: stay in the fight, stay eating long enough to find a foothold. 10 miles later, at the road under the shoulder of a giant volcano and inclining face, I shook off my legs. See, I found momentum. Riders ahead like cookies of radar, I picked them off one by one. Victory was a cure. Each time I passed another person, I got less and less sick. I was 14th place when I saddled up. By the time I approached eliminating my leg, there was only one man in front of me. Gary was the favorite in the race. As I hammered toward the rest line, I could see the reporter and photographer from Triathlon magazine interviewing him. None of them expected to see ass, black ass, and they all watched me carefully. During that 4 hour month in Spadwater, I would often dream of being in position to an ultimate race. As I coasted past grey and those reporters, I knew moment had arrived, and my expectations were intergalactic. The following morning, we lined up for the stage. A 171-mile bike ride through mountains and back towards the west coast. Gary Wing had a buddy in the race, Jeff Lounder, aka Landshark. Those two rode together. Gary had done the race before I knew the terrain, but I didn't. By mile 100, I was roughly 6 minutes off the lead. As usual, my mother and Kate were my two head support crew. They handed me replacement water bottles, packet of Jew, I don't know, and protein drinks from the side of the road, and when which I consumed in motion to keep me glycogen and electrolyte level ups. I would become more scientific about my nutrition since my plaques and rich cracker meltdown in San Diego. With the biggest climb of the day looming in the view, I need to ready to roll. On a bicycle, mountain produced pain, and pain was my business. Each road speak in the pitch. I put my head down and hammered as hard I guess I could. My lungs are heavy until they were flipped inside out and back again. My heart was pounding waistline. When I crested the pass, my mom pulled up alongside and ordered David. Are you 2 minutes up the lead? You are 2 minutes up the lead. Roger there. I crawled in the aerodynamic clothes and shot hill down over 40 miles. My brown griffin was equipped with the aerobars and I leaned over them, focusing only on the white dotted line and my perfect form. When the route level off, I went all out and kept my pace at around 27 miles per hour. I had a land shark and his body on the industrial side hook was reeling all the way until my front tire blew. What? Before I had time to react, I was off the bike. Some assaulting over the handlebars into the space. I could see it is happening in slow motion, but the time back up. When I crash land on my right side, my shoulder cramped with the blunt force. The right side of my face sculled the asphalt until I was stopped moving and I rolled onto the back and saw. My mother slammed on her brakes, leaped from the car, rushed over. I was bleeding my face, but nothing felt broken except my helmet, which was cracked in two. My sunglasses were shattered and my bicycle. I would run over the bull that pierced the tube and I didn't pay attention to the road rash in the my shoulder or the blood draining down below my elbow and cheek. Although I thought about the bicycle once again, I was underprepared. I had no spare parts, didn't have any clue how to change a tire lube. I tried not to think of bad luck or any missed opportunities. I needed to finish strong and get myself within striking distance by the end of the day. Because day 3 would bring a double marathon and I was convinced that I was the best runner in the field. 16 miles from the finish line, the bike mechanism tracked me down. I repeat my griffin. I switched on my harder for the second time and made 8 minutes on the leader, finishing the day in third place, 20 minutes off the lead. I crafted a simple strategy for day 3. Go out and build a fat cushion over gray and land sack so that when hit in the inevitable wall, I had enough distance to maintain the overall lead all the way to finish line. In other words, I didn't have any strategy at all. I began my era at Boston Marathon qualifying pace. I pushed hard because I wanted my competitor to hear my spirit and for it, the rules. I built a big lead. I anticipated. I knew I would blow up someone and ultra. I just hope it would have a late in the race. Gary and the Landshark would be content to race one another for a second and give up all over winning overall title. Didn't happen quite like that. At mile 35, I was already in agony and walking more than I was running. By mile 40, I was put in a vehicle full of so the cruise ship could be in my palm. I was showing a ton of weakness, which gave Gary and landmark ammunition. The miles mounted too slowly. I hemorrhaged the time. Luckily, by mile 45, Gary had blown up too. But the land shark was solid rock, still on my ass, but I didn't have anything left to fight him off. Instead, I suffered and stared, sta- staged, towards downtown Kona. My lip evaporated. In the end, the land shark taught me a vital lesson. From that day on, he had run his own race. My early boss on day 3 didn't phase him. He welcomed is the ill convinced that it was focused on his own pace, waited me out and took my soul. I was the first athlete to cross finish line of the ultramarathon that year. But as far as the clock was concerned, I was no winner. While I came in the first place on the run, I lost overall race by 10 minutes and took second place. The land shark was crowned Ultraman and was himself doing exactly how I wasted an opportunity to win. I lost my vantage point. I never evaluated the risk strategy when I didn't have any backstop in place. Backstops are versatile tool that I employ in all facets of my life. I was lead navigator when I operated in Iraq with the SEAL teams and backstop in the navigation town. Is the mark I made on my map and allowed we miss a town or period, of course. Let's say you were navigating through the woods and you have one click towards this land, then back down. In the military, we would do a map study at a time, mark that turns on map, and another point about 200 meters past turns, but there is a planned additional 50 meters past the second mark. Those two last marks are your backstops. Typically, I terrain features like road, cliffs, or giant cliff on the countryside and landmark building urban cities, so that when we hit them, I knew we gonna, of course. That's what these backstops are for you. To tell you around. This is one day, if Ultraman, I tried to swim with their wheel. I was all motor, no intellect. I didn't evaluate my condition. I had no primary stage strategy, let alone alternate avenue to victory, and therefore I had no idea where to employ backstops. In retrospect, I should have paid more attention to my one clock, and my backsteps should have been placed on my split times. When I saw how fast I was running then first marathon, I should have been alarmed and off easy up the gate. A slower fast marathon may have left me with enough energy to drop the hammer once we were back in the lava field on the Ironman course, heading towards the finish line. This way so much of the In Iraq, Admiral Winter's is building an elite counterterrorism force. That one of the primary mission in special force to train allied military units so that they control social cancers like terrorism and drug trafficking and maintain stability when borders in 2007. Al Qaeda made inroads into Africa allied with existing extremist networks including Boko Haram, Al Shabaab, and there was talk of building up counterterrorism forces in Somalia, Chad, Nigeria, Mali, Cameroon, Burkina Faso, and Niger. Our operation in Niger made international news in 2018 when four American special operations like were killed in ambush during public scrutiny to the mission. But back in 2007, almost nobody knew we were about to get into West Africa or that we lacked the personnel to get the best winner at the time. And we need black people in special forces. And our military leaders were clueless as how to meet that need. And in drives more of us into the role. It was all new information to me, but I didn't know anything about that African threat. The only West territory I knew was in Afghanistan and Iraq. That's it. Until Admiral Winter dropped a whole new region on me. And the military's problem officially became my problem. I reported my captain and Admiral he said to hit the road, visiting 10 to 12 cities at a time with the goal of escaping, recruiting number of the people, POC, people of color category. We made the first system on this new mission together. It was Howard University in Washington DC, probably the best known historic black university in America. We dropped to speak the football team, though I knew nothing about historical black culture and university. I knew students within them aren't usually type of thing with military. Thanks to our country's history and the rampant racism that continues to this day, black political thought tends left center as this institution. If you are recruiting for the Navy SEAL, there will definitely better choices than the Howard University practice field to find willing here. But this new focus required work in hostile territory, not mass enthusiasm. We were looking for one or two great men at each stop. The admiral line walked on the field dressed in uniform. I noticed suspicion and discard in the eyes of our audience. Admiral wanted to say plan into it, but our IC assessment told me that we have to plan another way. You were side first, but when it is time to speak, you look me I got this. I launched it on my live story. I told those athletes what I've already told you. I said we were looking for the guys with heart, man. You knew it was going to be hard tomorrow. The day after that, welcome every challenge. Men who wanted to become better athlete, smarter and more capable in all aspect of the life. We wanted eight guys who craved honor and purpose, but were open-minded enough to face the deepest fears pose. Well, by the time we were done, we could have heard a dropping. From then on, I was given command on my own schedule and budget. I leave it to operate as long as I had certain equipment threshold. I had to come with my own material. I knew that most of people didn't think that they could ever become a Navy SEAL, so I brought in the message I entered every two head. I know that even they didn't walk in our direction, they could still become more than they ever dream. I made sure to cover my life in its entirety, so if anyone use my story would pour it all out. My main drive was deliver hope. That out from 2007 to 2009, I was at the road for 50 days. I took to 50,000 high speed, university schooling of neighborhoods, a dozen of historic black college university schools with the college person. I'd come a long way from fourth grade, and when I couldn't stand in the front class of 20 kids, my name was Sabe. I learned quickly that I was my own best prop. Sometimes I would dress in silk t-shirt and with a trident on it, run 50 miles to speaking in German, soaking up weight, or I would do push-up for the first 5 minutes of my speech or told out. That's the Christian, isn't it? I believe it's never levels. Whenever I stop, I make the kids very interested. After school, up on my interests. Would got out and show the media, local television, video. So especially if I was able to get the next year, I would particularly do it from and do well in I remember I'm proud of it. Started in the first month, but I made about five school my restaurant listen to the trail. I wanted to hike and on each step I will met the kid to train with me, but one day that meant he started early at 3 a.m. I would drive the trail and meet up with the listener to show before we begin pond hiking. One of the Colorado 58 summit about 1400 feet. I hit another school and another after the building. I worked out with all football track or swim team. After school, I visited the back. So listen, you never know you are affected. That means you are inspiring. In another terms, you never know you were affecting. He followed me from his high school auditorium to Ladybell because he was looking for the abstract profile, finishing the rest. That it was possible to transgender typical and become more as a cool down. I told him he asked me for tips he could. One day rode all day and night through mountains bikers. I had several stories like that. More than a dozen kids came out to pay us and queued for midnight. 2,000 students trained with me in minute, not taken to Peru and wasn't children. Before sunrise in January when it was 20 below. I spoke at high school in a majority black neighborhood in Atlanta, and I was living on mother's soda too with the two sons who had dreamed of becoming the Mexico because enlisting in military wasn't considered cool in the neighborhood. When softball vacation broke out, I flew them to San Diego to live in train with me. I woke up their asses at 2 a.m., beat them down on the beach like they were me. Engineer was in the first place. They didn't enjoy the engine, but they learned the truth of what it takes to live the echoes for whatever I want. Whether the students were interested in a Milton or they were always as if they had the same idea I had. Could they run 100 miles in one day? Would, what would it take to reach the full potential? This is what I would tell them. Our culture has become hooked on the quick fixes, the life hack, efficiency. Everyone is on a simple action algorithm that makes textbook. It's not denying that this attitude may give you some of the travel success, but if you're lucky, but it will lead not closed mind master. If you want to master the mind and they will cover, no, you have to wait it. Very hard. Because passion and obsession, even talent, I've only useful tool if you have the work ethics to back them up. My work ethics is the single most important factor of my accomplishment. Everything else is secondary. When it comes to hard work, whether in the gym or the job, the 40% rule applies. To me, a 40-hour weekend is 40%. It may be satisfying, but that's another word for mediocrity. Don't settle for 40 hours. There are 168 hours in a week. That means you have out to put in extra time at work without skipping on exercise. I mean, streamlining your nutrition, spending quality time through art skills. I mean, scheduling your life. You are 24 hours mission on every single day. The mission, the one exercise here, they don't happen. Look, we all have work obligation. None of us want to lose sleep. You will need some time with the family. They will be treated out. I get it. There's a situation you must win the morning, winter, full time sales, and maximize the dark. Our exam when my wife was sleeping, I will bang out 6 to 10 miles on my gear later night. My lunch is back in my work clutch with a logger light. So the 25 miles. My evaluated life in its totality. We all waste so much time doing meaningless bullshit. We burn hours on social media and watching television, which ended up by the year. Would entire day week if you travel your time would like your taxes, you should because if you knew the what you would your face on stairs and cut a cable. When you find you are having privileged conversation or becoming inside in activity that don't better in you in any ways would forget. But yes, I did travel more. I didn't spend time with a lot of people in my circle spend time. I post on social media once or twice a week and never check anyone self feed because I don't follow anyone. Just me. I'm not saying you don't need be unforgiving because even I probably don't share the same goals, but I know you have goals too. And room for improvement. You should you wouldn't be reading my books Yeah, and I guarantee that if you're an addict to a serial, you will find some more and less wholesale. It's up to you to find ways to emphasize the bullshit. How much time do you spend that in a develop or not? Yes. Analyze your schedule, kill your empty hours, and then hours, and then burn the bullshit out. Now, maximize the time you have left. Time left. If you want to life, skip the bullshit, use the backstop, you will find time to do everything you want to do. But remember that you also need rest. It also needs rest. No source will listen. Your body is taking the 22 power whenever necessary. Take one full day rest per week. If you rest to allow the mind, but you rest on of your cell phone, keep the computer shut down or rest means to relax, hanging with friends or families, eating and drinking oil so you can recharge and get back in. It's not a day to lose yourself in technology, stay humble. It will takes in the form of damn question mark. That's the whole point of 24 mission to keep up a championship pace, not for a season or two, but for your entire life. That's quite quality require quality race and recovery time because you have no finish line. There is always something long you will always have weakness to strength if you want to become hard as a weak people. It's enough to hammer countless miles and finish a strong shit. There's always too long. There is always more to learn. I will always have weaknesses to strength if you want to become hard. It was hard, and that's what it. What the hell? It was already, bro. Oh, it was 45 minutes. I thought I would it only half an hour, and I completely lost into the books. What? It really never happens, but it happened. So I'm gonna stop here. I think I do have 10 remaining. No, never mind. I'm gonna finish this one. Who cares? In 2008, I was in back in Kona for an Ironman World Championship. I was big visually more for the Navy SEAL. And come on, like, it was one of the best athlete I've ever seen in the SEAL terms. And I was ready to the races. The NBC Sports broadcast dragged out even more and torn out race in the race in the feature. The announcers who got up between Clark and the main contender. Our entrance was straight out of the Hollywood Bridge meeting when most likely For a few months, I could see him puddling in the distance, suffering the love when he hit somebody with the sponsors. I knew he wanted to beat me because he was a proud man. He was a great professor, a great operator, a star athlete. And he wanted to beat him to be that's a Navy SEAL. His wide age would have blown by him. Closer, I told myself, but I caught up with us to my this one. We jumped into water together, stayed rest together, we are gonna finish together. We are said her final 2 miles of the Dostoevsky television. Let's go my and finish with Kate David. This was the picture of him deciding to finish his run together. And it is really good to wear. Everything was going well in my life. My career was expressing lazy. I made my name for myself in the sports. I had plans to get back on my battlefield like a Navy SEAL suit, but sometimes even doing but I didn't like strong have purpose and multiply. Chaos can will dismiss the warning and if not then if you are fortunate the issues or injuries are relatively minor when the incident crop. It's up to you can adjust or step it if you get injured while other complications arise that prevent you from working your primary passion. If because your energy is elsewhere. The activities we possibly tend to be our strength because it's fun to we are creative. If people enjoy working on their weaknesses. So if you are a traffic runner with a knee injury that will prevent you from running for 12 weeks, it's a that's a great time to get into yoga. Oh, they will make a big less injury prone athlete. If you have guitar player with a program and sit down is a key and use your own and to become more versatile musician. The point is to be shaped by etc. Focus, we did our mindset is it was this was the training log log of taking logins. I don't have any training logs. I should make some training logs. And I don't know how there are some like day, time, bike, distance, week. There's something interesting. When white people in course are treating you hard as a puzzle to be solved right in front of you, it's hard not to think you are probably pretty proud of. Part of me wanted answer immediately because I was scared to sit crazy. I was scared to sit. I didn't want to be a very super guy. It and okay, let's talk. You have an astral spectral defect is wasted in the halfway 8 10 years. You have a hole in your heart. Okay, he is strong as his forehead as is a pretty good size window. Well, just don't open. You know I did today. No, no, he said like. You were born with it. You're going to explain that the whole world in the wall between 11 and Atlanta would separate because when you have a hole between the chamber and the heart, oxygen and blood mixed with non-oxygen. Oxygen is an element. According to doctors, I was only supplying about half the necessary oxygen in my muscles organs there for optimal performance. That's what leads to swelling in the feet, abdomen, heart, palpitation, and a amount of shortness of breath. It certainly explains the fatigue I feeling recently. It also impacts the lung shape, very put the primary blood pressure. I recommend approaching. I'm truly amazed you could do all you have done with these conditions. So the doctors gave permission for a light exercise so that I dropped the floor to say push-ups is manageable. I immediately my heart went atrial fibrillation and my pulse is spiked from 120 to 230, back 120 to 10 to 50. I feel dizzy, then I had to sit down next to my own heart monitor while my breathing was 1 second. My oxygen was nothing has changed. I felt good. I to just it was all went over 15 miles. My mind was filled with emotion. My pulse rate bounded from 120 to 30 back again. I could stay imagining that I'm in my mind with no rhythm whatsoever. After that page, second and third upon it was clear that page either I failed or insufficient to cover in the entire world, and that I would had a second answer. I knew that if I maintained a victim's mentality, I would get anything out of the situation, but I didn't want to sit on defeated all the day, so I used time. Perfect mind. What did I love that? So perfect. It's over the interest when I so, but I used to keep in mind that for a moment. A full 14 months after the first surgery, I was open rolling through the hospital corridor on my back, starting the fluorescent light through ceiling, headed to the prey with no guarantee, while the tech and nurse shaped me down and prepared me while the question lingered. Held the anesthetist placed oxygen masks over my face and counted up to me. Just people that so I heard some air out from the abyss of my gesture. No. This was his second heart surgery of the holes in between his arteries. You know what happened? Challenge what it was. Challenges. Schedule it in. It's time to complete the 2 minutes. Multitask at 2 minutes. Make your schedule normal. Take notes what do what can do checking phone. How long is your commute? Are you driving? I wanted to support relation in the baseline. Everything you do, you eat, you travel, you poop, like whatever it is, make detailed, and that will be your baseline. In 2 weeks, build optimal schedule of that. Try to build what you can change from the schedule so that you could build a strong foundation for your day. Everything look good. Place 15 to 30 minute blocks. That means you have to consider 15 to 30 minutes for a time for a task. This is your challenge and you have to do it. For a task, when you work, only work one thing at a time. Next your meal break adequate but not open it. Schedule is rest too, but there's no time next much again. What's in the game? Rest with no technology. Oh, without technology. Yeah, that's for chapter 8. I thought I would read only half an hour, but it went beyond that. And I'm glad that it happened. I didn't feel bad. I it was 7 for an hour, but that was not my goal for today, but it happened. So I really can't do anything. That's all for today, I think. I did amazing today. And for today's chapter 8, we have nothing but talent, not requirements. You know how you don't need to be talented, you just need a strong with power. And if you have to master your mind, you have to remove the governor. The governor is the things that keeps you lacking behind, that tells you that you can't do. That was the governor. You have to remove that and train really, really, really hard to get somewhere. You call yourself a badass. And two, three things from this chapter: analyze your schedule, kill your empty habits, and burn the bullshit. Maximize time, take a full day rest without technology. And that's it for today. See you.